Let's face it, business technology is frustrating and complex. So how do you make sure it works for your team? To make IT right, start the discussion at go-domain.com. You're listening to Discussions by Domain, a podcast for business leaders. Our discussions may be with people you've probably heard of before, but the majority of our guests are in the trenches, professionals like you and I, with the same challenges and struggles of keeping up in the Northeast. They're implementing strategies, overcoming hurdles. They're leading the fastest growing businesses in our region. My name is Anthony DeGraw, Director of Partnerships at Domain Computer Services, and the host of this show. When I'm not talking with business leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of Domain and the ups and downs of our own growth journey, as we intend to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show. So welcome to another episode of Discussions by Domain. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Christian Amato, the Chief Operating Officer of C.M.A. Christian, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. So today we are going to be talking about Christian's experience in the marketing world, specifically in his expertise around association marketing, small business, medium-sized business marketing, and all the things that have changed in that marketing dynamic in the Mercer County area, and then also internationally, U.S.-based organizations as well that Christian and his company work with. I'd like to start, Christian, maybe you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background, as well as the things that CMA is up to this year.
My name is Christian Amato. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at C.M.A. My background, I come from various different industries, from the financial world to artificial reproductive technology world, even so much as the lighting side of it. I've joined with C.M.A. Interesting story. About 20 years ago, I started my career at C.M.A. and subsequently ended up leaving and going off and hitting a bunch of different international companies and things of that nature. And stayed friends with Jeff for a long time, who's the president and CEO. And when our paths crossed again, he had said, hey, I have an opportunity to come back, and we're looking to grow the company. So we've been doing a lot of expansion from employees to client base to verticals that we market into. And it's been a lot of fun. So for the last 4 years, I've been back with CMA, and we're rapidly expanding. We've gone from 32 employees up to 41 now. Wow. Yeah. It's been a heck of a ride. I'm really enjoying myself, and it's been a lot of fun.
You're having fun. Good stuff. That's good. So what, real quick, we'll touch on that. Where have you CMA seen the expansion from? What specific vertical, maybe niches that you work in?
Sure. Well, most of what we see is in our vertical niches, it's been a lot of the manufacturing, primarily in the lighting, electrical industry. We have been dealing a lot in the medical facility as well, medical and pharmaceutical industry. But realistically, we've been around for 30 years, so we have 10 verticals that we've always touched on.
Gotcha.
The nonprofits are always something that we like to be a part of. For us, that's a little bit more giving back.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit. We make sure the causes are where we want to be as an organization. We make sure that really it's who and what our values are. And we, fortunately and unfortunately, we pick our clients.
Yeah.
As far as, do they fit our core values? Will they align with what we're trying to do as an organization from a growth side of it? Obviously, there's some issues with revenue generation and things of that nature.
Exactly, yeah.
But we're actually one of those companies that I would sooner not have a client than compromise our values.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much who.
And that affects culture internally as well as it does externally. So that's a great point to make. So what I'd like to dig into a lot is I think a lot of people get confused with marketing, social media. All of this has changed drastically over the last, 4, 5, 10 years now. Yes. So what is a basic strategy that somebody who's maybe getting started in marketing or maybe has some developed marketing could put or look to put in place, the pieces of that strategy that they should be looking at?
Well, it really depends. Back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, marketing was about identifying who your audience was. Finding that person. You had to go out and find them. Yeah. Okay? Today's day and age, it's not about that. It's about them finding you. Technology and what's happened in the technology and the Googles and the SEO searches and how you become relevant with Facebook advertising and things like that has really changed what the playing field for marketing is. So you're still actually doing the same things. You're looking at your demographic. You're identifying your target audience. audience. But really, it's more about today's day and age, the message. What are you trying to say? It's not about you. It's about what your clients are looking for. We're not marketing companies and ourselves and marketers. We're not the hero of marketing. It's basically the client. You have to position them as they're solving a problem, a greater problem.
Yeah.
Either their clientele or the philosophical issues that come about. But every product, every marketing thing you're solving someone's issue. And being able to be found is really relevant, is really the way it's going nowadays.
How do you help? I've always had a lot of interest and never figured out the message piece, right? And maybe that's because there is no ideal message, but how do you help customers start to define their message or define that actual problem that they're solving?
It's a series. Basically, when clients call us, it's one of those things where they have an idea, and it's just basically having that conversation. Again, when you enlist a marketing company, one of the main things you should look for is the collaboration. People are looking for marketing and they're hiring companies. It's because it's not their skill set. Either they're entrepreneurs, they've built a company, they moved forward on something, they've gotten to an environment where they know it can go larger than it is, but they need some help getting there. Our job really is to be listeners and hear what the client's saying, ask them a series of questions, walk through that type of almost psychological, sociological write-up to make sure that you get the answers you need. And then you draft your message accordingly, as far as that goes. What do they want to do? You have brands that are out there that are very socially conscious.
Yeah.
And that's their main thing. So the message is going to come off of that. And there's companies that have such a great product that aids people in a different way. They want to make that product known out there, and the social aspect of it comes on the back end.
Okay. Another question I think is, with all the social media platforms that exist, how do you stay relevant? How do your customers stay relevant nowadays?
That's tough. It's really about making sure that you know what's happening from a technological perspective and what's happening on those types of things. You have now the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Pinterests. What you're really looking at is looking at your client, and then going back to their audience. How is their audience consuming data? Everything today is not about sitting at your desk, not about seeing what's going on, but everything is mobile.
Yeah.
Mobile is playing such a huge part of it. It's how is your audience consuming data? As a younger demographic, everything's phone. As you move out of that younger demographic, you have some more of the traditional newspapers, billboards, things of that nature. But even still, making sure that you're relevant on all facets, from telephones to tablets to desktops, it's all important. It's how you go about it. But staying relevant into definitive social media elements, really you have to stay on top of what's happening in the world. You have to be up on current events. You have to be focusing on what's going on around you, because it changes like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a new platform every single day.
Exactly. And for us, it's what we like to do is we empower our people, and really we set up social environment for everybody to kind of get together, collaborate over what's happening, and really let people that do the job, our subject matter experts, find where we should be and at least give us the idea of, hey, this is what's happening out there, and is this relevant for our client? Just, you can't pick a medium or a platform just because it's the newest, greatest thing and run your clients through it. You have to make sure that's relevant for where their audience is.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the main key point, is where is your audience? What is, going back to that initial thing, who is my audience? What message goes with what they're trying to do or what problem we're trying to solve? And then where do they exist? Where are they spending their time and attention?
Exactly. You only have it for a few short, couple seconds, 6 to 10 seconds, max before it's going to the next screen.
Going to the next screen. So with that, I would believe that the message, say my audience is on Facebook or my audience is on LinkedIn or whatever, Snapchat, whatever it is. I'm assuming, does the message have to be crafted specifically for the platform that you're trying to communicate it on?
It does. There's a lot of things that you look at, and you have the message. How do you convey that message? Do you use video? Do you use a picture with just a brand tag or of some nature, that an element of it? If you're writing a blog, do you just go out on Twitter and hit the blog headline in a picture and then have it link over to it? how quickly can you get that information? But yeah, the message changes. People we see at Facebook have a propensity to use a little bit more family type oriented platform. But Twitter is more of a knowledge and learning kind of area, and LinkedIn has a larger business type approach to it. So you call the message a lot, but it's usually just the verbiage.
Yeah, gotcha. My next thing would be, you mentioned data, big data. There's data coming from all these platforms. We're constantly getting hit with it. I know internally ourselves, we're constantly looking at website traffic, load times, how much time people spend on our site, how many people engaged, viewed, clicked. With all the data coming at us, are there data points, maybe analytics that we should be paying more attention to? Or what's your thoughts on data and all this stuff that's coming at us?
That is great. I mean, what you guys are looking at and things of that nature, and what you do is from a load time and things like that, how quickly people can see things is very important from a technical perspective. For me and for us, clicks, the looks, the likes, the thumbs up, all that stuff, it's really about the engagement.
Okay.
How we break it down a little bit further for us is it's engaging your client and giving them something relevant to it. So one of the biggest things is you can't have someone come out on Facebook or social media and reply to you and then you not get back to them.
Gotcha.
I personally have done it. I've hit a few guys that I know that are out there. It's like, hey, I have a question on this, and I've never heard back.
Yeah.
And immediately I unlike them or unfriend them or whatever it is. But it's really about the engagement. But learning the metrics, it helps you because what you can do is test some different things, test video, test links, test photos, test whatever it is you're going to test and see how your audience is reacting to it. So it does give some relevance. Okay, we've seen a move in the needle on clicks. Okay, well, what does the engagement side of it look like? And how do you get it from point A to point B? And it's all about the buying cycle.
Gotcha. What are some primary, whether they be called call to actions or actions that you like to see your clients getting, right? So it could be a like, a follow. It could be, I want you to engage with this piece of content to go read this blog post or come to my site. What are the primary areas where you're seeing call to actions be effective?
For us, really, it's about driving people to the website.
Okay.
And, when you're out on Twitter and you're out on these things, they're liking it and they're saying, okay, yeah, this is great. Sometimes it's just a quick click of the button.
Exactly.
But realistically, what we try and do is say, okay, if you're going to read further or move forward on something, we want to drive them back to the website.
Yeah.
And then once they get to the website, have a really good call to action as far as contact us. It could be depending on the industry.
Yeah.
Learn more.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's different environments too. You have to know where you're putting your call to action. Learn more is, hey, do you want to keep going out on a second date? Contact us. I want to get married.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
you got to kind of look at it that way and say, and again, what pages are you promoting? Are you promoting a blog page for knowledge? Do you want to hit somebody up in the face with a contact me now? Or is your main purpose of that page or service that you're providing to the people out there educational portion?
Yeah. And I think from that point alone, it's so important to engage with professionals like yourself because you can go out and throw up a Facebook ad yourself, no problem, right? Mm-hmm. But then it's how does that connect back to where do we want them to go? All right, now we want to go back to the website. Now from the website, what do we want them to do? What are the steps there? And having that full-blown thought process or strategy around that simple one ad, I think could make or break the difference of is this successful or not?
Absolutely. I mean, what we see mostly is people do one-offs, and again, it's build a website and they will come. And that's really not the case. It's build your website and gives you presence. But you have to have a flow in your strategy. How are you going from awareness and how you're walking the customer down the buying cycle. From a marketing side of it, it's not walking our customer down the buying cycle. It's walking their customer down the buying cycle because that's the measure usually of what you see. You can't go into any company and you ask, what's your goal for marketing? They're going to tell you, increase sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Marketing provides opportunities for sales. It has to have guys that, like yourself and things like that, that actually go out and close the sale or finish up the sale for you. Unless, of course, obviously, if you're an e-commerce site. But for the most part, it's one of those environments where the fluidity of your strategy has to be all encompassing. It doesn't have to be all done at one time.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, you look at it and you say, okay, here's my plan. We could phase this in. What's the most important? And this element is, if it's your website awareness, this is going to be this is where we're going to start. Or I want to be a thought leader. So we're going to start somewhere else in social media, and we're going to move it into this. But how quickly can we get to where it is?
No, I love that. Yeah, I love that. We talk a lot about at Domain from a marketing standpoint, like how can we increase opportunities, but really how can we increase conversations, right? Because if we can have a conversation, we can start to understand where we need to go. Are we the right fit? Are we not the right fit? What is the right fit for them? And that's really what we're just trying to do. We want to generate these conversations.
Exactly, and you guys do a really great job of it. I mean, obviously,
appreciate it.
From the tech guys that I talk to, from your side of it, they're always engaging in conversations, and their customer service and how they handle things is great. Touching base with the customers and on all different points and all different aspects is phenomenal. I think knowing how to reach out to everybody and keep that conversation going is huge. Yeah. And that's pretty much what marketing is, because it's always evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, just the technology itself changes so quickly that basically you need to stay up on technology to have the conversation with the client as to where they're going. You have to stay up on where the bottom line is, on their financials or what they're looking at, what makes sense to them. Are their clients changing? What are they doing from a product perspective to make sure that you're promoting it properly?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a constant evolution, and that's why you really need a partner.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about hiring someone or bringing someone onto your team as much as it's about having that partner, having that go-to person that's going to know what to do and know what to think, know what you're thinking, and be aligned to you. And the success comes.
Yeah, I think the whole point you're getting to there is the strategy, right? It's a lot of, I think customers are engaging now based mostly on strategy, because they're seeing this stuff everywhere. They somewhat get it, but they need somebody to help them, like, put it in a plan in place, have the strategy. Where am I today? Where am I going? What's my gaps in between? And actually execute on it.
And that's what you should expect from when you enlist in marketing.
Yeah.
The strategy side of it. And that's because you can go out and you can get someone to do a Facebook ad. You can get someone to come out that's going to be able to execute on your deliverable.
Yeah.
Whether they execute it within the same confines of the strategy with the same messaging can be the success or not.
Yeah.
So from a marketing side of it, when you're looking at it and you're looking at your company or you're looking at anybody's company, you sit back and say, let's spend the time up front on the strategy. But with that, understand, going back to what you were saying, the analytics and the data and the measuring of what you're doing and the metrics, that comes back different. Be nimble enough to pivot. Strategy is great, and it's filled with a lot of hypothesis, and assumptions, things of that nature. If you don't see it going, there's a solution out there for you. You just need to kind of reel it back a little bit.
Yeah, no, definitely. And let's get into ROI specifically on marketing. And we talked previously about ROI and how do you potentially gauge that. But let's dive into your thought processes around ROI.
All right, that's always the $1 million question when it comes to a guy like me and you get the operations side of it. It's like, what's my ROI?
Yeah,
it's interesting. Marketing return on investment has to be flexible. Now, this goes against all chief financial officers' mental wiring. Yeah. I know this. I used to be one.
You are one.
Yeah. And it's like to be able to convince a CFO that like marketing ROI is difficult to do and it has to be flexible is so hard to do.
Yeah.
But it is. And what you have to really look at is obviously there's an overall arching marketing return on investment. You take your strategy, you take your tactics, you take everything that's going to cost you, you assume what you're going to get from a revenue perspective, and you walk through, you say, this is what I think the ROI is going to be. One thing that we always and often forget is how do you measure just the relevancy of it? Your current client base. Like you're measuring an ROI on new business.
Correct.
But you know what? Nobody wants to be part of an organization that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so they want to feel that. So when you're actually doing a marketing campaign, you're measuring ROI, you have to take into consideration what's the impact on our current client base if we're not relevant out there in the world. If they can be out talking about, my marketing done here or my IT is done somewhere else, and nobody's ever heard of that company. Yeah. Word of mouth is what's going to get it. And they're going to say, oh, well, I use so-and-so. Oh, okay. But it's got to be real flexible, and then you have to measure the incremental things from a return on investment. So really what that means is, if I spend $1,000 to do this Facebook ad and I garner 5% clicks, 2% engagement, after that, click-throughs, what would it be if I spent $2,000? Or I upped it by another $1,000.
Yeah.
And looking at the incremental side of it. But it's always it's the key to ROI is identifying what the goal is for that in particular tactic.
Gotcha.
Because
okay.
I know there's companies out there that spend millions of dollars. All they're doing is just having a presence and want somebody to be, they're happy with 4 million clicks or whatever. However they measure.
It's almost like building awareness only. That's the only thing they care about.
And that's it. And they spend a ton of money on that. And that's their goal.
Yeah.
And then CFOs and budgets and things like that, they have it out there. And it's like, great. I mean, you see it. Super Bowl ads and things like that.
Exactly. Best 30 seconds of marketing.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Cool. I think those are a ton of insights into the back end of a marketing company, organization, CMA, and how you guys are thinking about this for your clients and what business owners need to specifically be thinking about to move the needle, right? It's it's strategy, and it's strategy tied to goals. And then how are we going to get there? What's the timeline? And are you flexible?
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you're going to do it in-house, that's great. Make sure you have a mentor or someone that you can go to.
Yeah.
You can at least touch base with to get some information. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are out there that write books and things like that. And again, if you're looking for a company, marketing company, no different than an IT company or anything of that nature, partner. Yeah. You want to have someone that's going to they're going to go with you and they want to align to their core values and the crew as to what happens, and make sure your people work together.
Yeah, and you can hold each other accountable.
Absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, that's it. Hey, we know everything's not going to go. Everything's not sunshine and daydreams, right?
Right.
But things are going to go array. But can we hold each other accountable going forward?
Absolutely.
No, that's awesome. So let's dive into who Christian is as a person. I've personally got to know you over the last let's go a year and a half now.
Yeah,
we've had some cigars together.
Absolutely,
great stuff. We're about to take the boys to a baseball game, minor league baseball game, which should be pretty cool. But if you were to go back to your 25-year-old self and give yourself some advice in that realm to where you are now, what would that advice be?
Wow, 25. Well, back in my 25-year-old days, it was a little crazy. But what I would tell myself now, knowing today, going backwards, don't settle. If you're 25 years old now and you're looking to do something, don't let anybody impede you from doing that. Really get out there, set your mind to it, and go after it. Be kind. That's one of the biggest things I think we lose track of, in the world. Everybody's so quick to want to climb the corporate ladder, get to where they want to get to. And then once they realize they get there, sometimes they come to the conclusion that it's not what they thought it was. Yeah. And they've gotten there in an unkind manner. For me, and what I would say going back to 25 is don't let someone squash your dream. Don't let someone try and steer you away from what it is. Don't let money dictate what you do. Yeah. Find your passion and go after it. And the rest will fall into place, and just be kind about it.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. Next question I want to move to is the books that you've gifted the most, or have that changed your thought process the most? And we did touch base on this before we started recording. So you have a great story on this.
I do. The book that touches that I hit the most is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. He's back in the 60s beatnik writer. Obviously, for those that follow literature, they're going to know or heard of him. He's one of the greatest American writers. But for me, On the Road is one of those books that really personifies that you could do it. He didn't do anything spectacular. It wasn't, jumping mountains. But it was one of those books that when you get done reading this book, it makes you want to get up and do something. It makes you want to get up and either, if you've been thinking about moving to Hawaii or moving to Florida, it makes you want to get up and move to Florida because it kind of embodies that. And you have to read between the lines to see that you can do it. If you want to just start a gym program or something like that, you look at this person and say, wait a minute, this guy was a Columbia University student who left and went join the Merchant Marines, and for $50 jumped on a freight train. Now, I'm not recommending you jump on freight trains, but I am saying, he just went across country and found his way and became one of the greatest writers in American history. Yeah. And his book, On the Road, was panned. When it first came out, it was panned. Okay. And now today, people have heard about it. Some people haven't read it, but they've heard about it. Yeah. So it's really one of those things. It's a great book.
That's awesome.
Life book.
Yeah. No, I love it. The final, though, we had 2 questions left, rapid fire questions, right? Okay. So the next one is, what charity do you specifically or CMA specifically contribute to or know of or follow or like to look at?
Well, for me personally, I do a lot of Leukemia Lymphoma Society. Okay. It's dear to my heart. My grandmother passed away of leukemia, so we kind of stick to it for my family as a whole.
Yes,
My sister is actually, Gina is one of the biggest advocates of it. And she works down in Washington, D.C. for a 503c company. So she's really involved in it. So I get to support her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a little busy. But CMA, we have a great program, CMA Cares. And every year we sit down and we evaluate the local charities, what's happening, and we pick a couple that we're going to support that year.
Awesome.
And we do stuff for it. So it's really, and it changes. I wish I could tell you which, how we do this one consistently.
Yeah.
But we don't, because we're really about making sure that where we can make the most impact. But we serve on boards and things like that, from a charitable perspective.
Yeah.
So anything we can do.
Do you guys get the CMA Cares out on the website at any point in time? Is it a specific time of year that you guys do that? Okay. Well, so we'll make sure we link to that.
Yeah, we're launching a new website coming out. So even marketing companies have to continue with their marketing. So we're going to be launching a new website, and there's a page on there for CMA Cares. So
awesome.
I'm really excited. It's really something that we're really excited about. But one of the main things we do is our intern program as well. It's giving back to the community a little bit and where we come from. It's huge for Jeff and I. Yeah. Because we were products of an internship.
Exactly.
And you have to make sure that that's still available to people. So that's something we do year after year at CMA, and make sure that we have at least 3 or 4 students that can come in and really dive into it, just like you guys.
Yeah, understand the business. And learn from the leaders within the organization.
Absolutely.
That's great. Final question here is, who is a thought leader or practitioner here in the Northeast that the audience Discussions by Domain should be aware of?
For me, in the Northeast, I'm not sure. I usually go with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
He's national. He's a marketing guru. He's fantastic. He's one of those guys that really knows what he's doing, helps out. Those books are good. He's really inspiring to have you move and help. What I like the best about it is help smaller agencies, smaller companies either execute on what he has in his book by themselves, or he offers a lot of, if you follow him or link in him, he offers a lot of feedback. He's very engaging with his audience. He gets back to you. If you reply, he'll engage back with you.
Exactly.
So I enjoy dealing with him a lot.
Okay. Good stuff. Well, this is Christian Amato from CMA. We will link to everything that Christian talked about, the books, the charities, Gary Vaynerchuk in the show notes, so you all can link to it, get to it, and be able to find all this great information. If you have more information or more requests for Christian on how to get in touch with him, what's the best social media platform to reach you specifically on?
For me, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay.
LinkedIn, you can reach me there. You can email me at camato@cmasolutions.com.
Perfect.
Which is always good. I'm always on my phone, but
yeah. And what's the company website, real quick?
cmasolutions.com.
cmasolutions.com. All right, so we'll make sure of that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
It's always a pleasure
Appreciate
to see you guys and be here in Domain. Fantastic time.
Awesome.
To ensure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device. To help us get the word out, share with a friend, leave a review, and check out our discussions on the web at go-domain.com/podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.